Okay, in this video, we're going to go ahead and learn how to construct equilateral triangles and isosceles triangles so we can look at some of the properties. So let's go ahead and begin. You're going to need your compass for this and your straight edge. All right, so we're going to construct an equilateral triangle. So the first thing I want you to do is with your straight edge, construct a segment. It doesn't matter how long it is, just go ahead and construct a segment. So just draw a line. Now that you have your segment, I want you to take your circle jar and I want you to, or your compass, and put the point at one of the endpoints. Then I want you to stretch it out to the other endpoint, just like I've done here. I'm going to go ahead and construct my equilateral triangle below here. So I'm going to come up here, I'm just going to move it, and I'm going to make a mark. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch where I have my endpoints. So I'm going to go ahead and take my compass and now put the point at the other endpoint and bring my pencil down to the endpoint. And now I'm going to go ahead and try to intersect the curve that I already have below. So I'm just going to drag it and I will make my mark. So now go ahead and take your straight edge and from each endpoint go to where the lines intersected. And what we have done is we have constructed an equilateral triangle. So since we've constructed an equilateral triangle, we know that this side and this side and this side are all congruent. Now, go ahead and take your protractor out. And I want to go ahead and measure each angle. And actually, I don't even need to measure each angle. Let's think about what we've learned in terms of the angles measurements and the side relationships in triangles. If they're all the same side lengths, then don't we know that all the angle measurements also have to be the same? There's not one that's larger or smaller. And so since a triangle adds up to 180 degrees, we know all the angles are going to be the same, which makes each of those angles 60 degrees. So for an equilateral triangle, we've just proven by construction that all the angles have to add up to 60. Now, we could go ahead and measure them, and let's go ahead and measure one of them. I'm going to come here, I'm going to put the vertex at 60, and I'm going to rotate this. So I go this way, so it's lined up. And as I can see right here, oops, I didn't mean to move that, my angle measures 60 degrees. And it's a little off, but we're pretty close. This angle is 60 degrees, and I could go around and measure all of those. But that's how we construct an equilateral triangle. Now let's go ahead and construct an isosceles triangle. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to construct a segment. I don't care what the length is, but go ahead and just construct a segment. And then off to the side, like I've done here, I want you to draw another segment, and that's going to be the legs of this isosceles triangle, meaning the two sides that are going to be congruent. Now make sure it's not the same length as the base. I'm actually going to make my base a little bit bigger. So now that you have your legs, I want you to go ahead and measure the legs. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to come up here, I'm going to put my point at one of the endpoints. I'm going to stretch it out, and I may have to rotate it. Oops, I'm going to lower it so I can actually work with it here. Oops. So put it here, and bring this on in so I can measure that leg. Okay, so now I've measured the leg. I'm going to go from one of the endpoints of my base, and above it, I am going to go ahead and draw an angle mark. I'm going to go ahead and take the point of my compass and put it to the other endpoint. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let me go back. Oops, I don't want to switch it. Okay, there we go. And that's where they intersect. So now I want you to go ahead and finish your triangle. So from each of the endpoints of the base, go to where it intersects. And what we have constructed here is an isosceles triangle. So this side is going to be the same as that side. Well, let's think about what we know is true with side and angle relationships. We know that the side opposite, or the angle opposite congruent sides, have to have the same angle measurement, which means this angle over here has to be the same as this angle over here because the side lengths opposite are the same. So for an isosceles triangle, we have two congruent sides, but we also know that base angles are congruent in an isosceles triangle. So there we go. We've just constructed an equilateral triangle and an isosceles triangle. Good work.